Get Mr. Benjamin.
Your Honor, we would call Ms. Natchitoches.
Come forward. You were not here earlier, so I'm going to ask that you be sworn in at this time.
I do solemnly and sincerely and truly declare and affirm that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Have a seat.
I think you're welcome to take the mask off.
Do I have to?
No, but if you can speak up loud so we can hear you. Would you please state your name for the record?
Natchitoches.
Ms. Scott, by whom were you employed?
The Natchitoches Police Department.
What is your position at the Natchitoches Police Department?
Communications Officer.
And what is a communications officer?
We answer the phone for emergency and non-emergency calls, speak to the caller and get the information, and what the situation is, and dispatch the proper authorities to the location.
And you've been trained for that position?
Yes.
How long have you been in the position of communications officer?
Four and a half years.
4.5 years?
Right.
Do you work at the police department, or do you work at the 911 center?
The police department.
And physically, are you in the police department or the 911 center?
The 911 center.
Okay. So how do you receive your calls?
We answer the phone. If it's a non-emergency call, we say, Natchitoches Police Department, how may I help you? We speak to the caller, get the location of where they're located, get their name, their information, and what the situation is they need help with.
Are those calls recorded?
Yes, sir.
Do you maintain recordation of those calls?
We have them on file, but we don't maintain them. Our supervisor has those on record.
Okay. Do you upload those?
No, sir, they're automatically uploaded.
Okay. Were you employed by the police department on or about January 22nd, 2022?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember receiving a call regarding an incident at Natchitoches Parish Library?
Yes, sir.
Do you know the time of the day that call was?
No, sir, I do not recall.
You worth how many on an average? How many calls you receive a shift?
On an average, only guesstimate. I would say maybe, it's several. From maybe 30 to 40, 50 calls a day.
Any number of calls, correct?
Basically.
Okay. Do you recall this particular call regarding the Natchitoches library?
Yes, sir.
What do you recall about that particular call?
I got a call from a female caller stating that a male subject came into the library acting very strangely and if we could send someone out to see what was going on. I spoke to her. She said the guy came in and walked around, had several backpacks with him. When she asked if he needed assistance, he refused. He tried to gain entry into the 3rd level, which is prohibited for public use. It's only for employee use.
And what did you do at that point?
At that point, I dispatched an officer.
Do you recall the officer that you dispatched?
Yes, sir, Officer Davis.
Officer whom?
Davis.
Did you do that via the radio communication?
Yes, sir.
If you heard your cell phone there, would you think you'd recognize it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, the call was authenticated, the process was authenticated earlier today. But I'd like to ask that we queue up the radio transmission from the Natchitoches Police Department and mark it as Exhibit 4.
Where's the 125?
25.
Charles the Native Parish Library. Some of the suspicious white male, about 6 foot tall, possibly wearing a green army jacket, acting suspicious, like he's casing the library, checking doors to see which ones are locked and which ones are not. They just want someone to check on it.
Yeah, cool.